Hi, I'm Catherine Taylor, the lawyer for business owners. Today, I met with two people starting that want to start a consulting business together, and they live in different states. The question that I answered, or one question I answered among many, was in which state should we form an LLC? And the first answer that I gave them was, you know what, it really doesn't matter. And so, why do I say that? That's because, unless you're looking for certain asset protection strategies, or or if you are forming a trust that needs to comply with certain state laws, for instance, you really don't need to be registered. Your LLC doesn't need to be registered in a state other than the state in which you live. There are some exceptions to that, but for the most part, all the fanfare about forming in Nevada, Wyoming, other states is mostly just fanfare, and there's not a whole lot of meat to it. So, what do you do if you are forming a business with someone who lives in another state? Well, what I did was I asked some questions of these two people. And what I learned was that one of them in particular was going to be doing most of the work to get the entity formed, to open tax accounts, all the admin stuff that you have to do when you're forming a business or forming an LLC. And based upon that, I suggested that the best place to form the entity is a state in which that person lives. Frankly, for convenience purposes, it's just easier many times to get things done with state agencies in the state in which you live. Now, what does that mean for the other owner of this LLC? What that means is that the person who lives in the state other than the state in which the entity was formed is going to be conducting business on behalf of that LLC. And so that LLC needs to register as a foreign entity in the state that the person lives. So basically, what we had was person who lives, in this case, it was Maryland. The entity is going to be formed in Maryland, but because one of the owners is living in North Carolina, and they're going to be conducting business on behalf of the LLC on a regular basis in the state of North Carolina. That Maryland LLC, once it's formed in Maryland, needs to go to the state of North Carolina, not the LLC, but obviously the people need to go register that LLC in North Carolina to be able to do business in North Carolina. So it's really as easy as that. It doesn't have to be a really complicated analysis. And again, the best way to handle this is to look at the underlying work that each person's going to be doing and determine where it would be the most efficient to form that entity. As always, click subscribe, like this video, because I always update the YouTube channel with handy tips for business owners. Thank you.